this is recording now. So, first of all, everybody, welcome to the Week 3 mini lecture. Great job on all of the activities and discussions. I think you have just been doing a very phenomenal job. I'm very impressed with the high level of thought and all of the work that you're putting into this. Just really, truly great job. So this week, we are going to get started on some of the recent literature about the psychology of climate change, and we are beginning here with the APA report. It is Swim et al. Psychology of Global Climate Change Addressing a Multifaceted Phenomenon and Set of Challenges, a report by the APA's Task Force on the Interface Between Psychology and Global Climate Change. So this is a really great resource for several reasons. First, it compiles a great deal of information about what psychologists know about the ways people cope with, respond to, and adapt to climate change. And second, it's a great resource for resources, citations, studies, articles, chapters, books, all of these things about climate change on the very topics that you're going to be researching this semester. So some of you may choose to use PsycInfo or other search engines and do searches from scratch. That's awesome. In fact, probably all of you will have to do that to some degree. But some of you may choose to mine the resources and the reference lists in this report and to start giving you a good basis for what is out there. And also you can look at the resources, the references, and the sections that you're reading and try to find things that are, cited in interesting topic areas, or also sometimes you can just look through the reference list at the end and look for interesting titles that look like they might be relevant. One of the things about psychology you may have noticed is that our titles of articles are really, really boring, but they tell you exactly what the article is about. So it can be very handy just to look through and try to find something that sounds like it's about what you want to look at, because probably it will be. And then finally, though, this resource is a great resource because it documents, it's going to be the foundational resource for your term paper. So definitely take a really good look at this reading for this week. So your papers are not about this report, but they should spring from this report. You can and probably should use this resource, this report, as your main citation, but don't feel like you need to tell me what is in the report. I know what's in the report. I've read it already. Yeah, and so we're going to start from here, but then we're going to go in our own directions. As I said before, we are creating this field, and so don't feel like you have to regurgitate what's already been done, because this is new. We're creating new things here. Yeah? So, the report is divided into sections that are based on the major topics or questions that the authors feel that psychologists can really focus on within the field of psychology of climate change. And so we have one, how do people understand the risks imposed by climate change? 2, what are the human behavioral contributions to climate change and the psychological and contextual drivers of these contributions? 3, what are the psychosocial impacts of climate change? 4, how do people adapt to and cope with the perceived threat and unfolding impacts of climate change? 5, what are psychological barriers that limit climate change action? And 6, how can psychologists assist in limiting climate change? So think about these topics, look over the table of contents of the report and get kind of a feel for what is encompassed within these topics, and what you might be interested in reading about. And really think about what you're interested in reading about. Don't just grab the shortest topics, because this will kind of define what you're going to do for the entire semester in this class. So pick 2 topics. I want a primary topic and also a secondary topic. And we're picking 2 because first of all, these are broad topics and they overlap in a lot of ways. And also because when you pick your narrow topic for your term paper, it's probably going to include information from a couple of these broad topics. You're welcome, of course, to read the entire report, but you definitely should just pick 2. So the reading assignment is read the introduction, pick a primary and a secondary choice, so read 2 sections from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then read the summary and discussion. You're welcome to read all of it. Like I said, it's a really great report. I do highly recommend it, and especially if you're interested in staying with this field or learning more about it, just read the report. It's great. Yeah, it's a great report. I highly recommend it. Here are my problems with it. In this report, they note at one point that this is a biased report. It has a developed nations bias. The reason that is most of the research has been done in the field has been done in the United States, in Australia, and in Europe. This is where most of the psychologists are, and so it's kind of no wonder that this is where they're doing their research. So the main body of research, though, is conducted by, with, and about people from wealthy countries. And people from developing nations are severely underrepresented in the knowledge that is contained in this report. And so that's why they say there's a developed nations bias. It may apply to developing nations, but you just can't tell from the research that has been done in this field and what is contained in this report. Also, we live in Hawaii. We live in an island in the ocean. And in this entire huge long report, there is one paragraph that talks about island contexts. So the main body of research, as I mentioned, is from the United States, Australia, and Europe. This is a developed nations bias, but it's also a continental nations bias. Islands are really underrepresented, and so once again, the knowledge from this report may apply to island contexts, but it may not. We don't know. We can't tell. Also, the report does discuss culture and diversity by region, socioeconomic status, gender, age, ethnicity, and minority status, all of these things, but I don't feel like they really get into the topics deeply enough, which, it's limited what a single report can do. But that brings us to your job for the class, which is within the two huge, broad topics that you choose. I want you to think about a narrower topic for study, and your narrower topic should hone in on some of these issues of diversity and how climate change is affecting people differently around the world and why. So you'll focus on this narrower topic throughout the semester. You'll draw information from the readings and kind of apply it to what you're already thinking about. You'll do your own outside research. You'll look at the research that other classmates are doing and are finding and sharing. We're going to share a lot in this class. But also develop a term paper about how climate change impacts are diverse and uneven around the world and why. And so that's going to be your focus for this entire class, and we're going to start here this week. Your assignment for this week is first to choose two broad topics that you want to look at. Second, do the readings accordingly. Third, do your reading activity, and some of you may have already looked at it. I want you to pick 5 things from what you read and tell me about them. This is where you do actually want to tell me what's in the report, but also what you think about them, yeah? So 5 things that you think will likely be important to your research, and tell me about why you're interested in them, why they strike you as something that is important. Next, I want you to develop a draft term paper topic. Maybe it's a final topic, maybe it's not, but at least a really good draft topic, and then go to the discussions forum. So in the group discussion for this week, I want you to enter and explain your proposed topic. Like, this can be very short, maybe a brief paragraph about what you may want to be talking about in your term paper. And then I want you to look at other people's topics as they come up. They're going to be really interesting. I'm very excited to see what you guys are really interested in looking at. But I want you to offer constructive comments to 4 other students' topics. More if you want, that's awesome. I mean, seriously, these are going to be really interesting to look at. It doesn't have to be a very long comment, but once again, that's so cool, or not for me, or whatever, that doesn't count. I want you to actually offer kind of like advice or comments about how your classmate may be able to further refine or strengthen or clarify or broaden maybe or narrow, but in some way improve what you think might be an improvement to this draft topic. You don't have to listen to your classmates' advice. You may not think that it's useful to you. You may read it and think, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. Why didn't I think of this earlier? But the thing is, you don't know. But we do want to definitely share this and find out what we kind of think, what we can add to each other's topics. And so after the week is over, read through the comments that have been put on your topic. Think about them if there's anything that you want to change. We will finalize the topics next week. We'll have like official approval, and you'll know what it is for sure that you're going to be looking at this semester. But for right now, for this week, at least get a very good idea to begin with of what you want to look at, and then share it with the class and see what happens. So the workload is a little bit less this week. We have a little bit lighter discussion and all of this. So this might be a good week to go into PsycInfo and to start doing the research, doing searches for the topic that you want to look at, to either get a few resources in the bag that you can pull up later when you're writing your paper, or at least get a good idea of what sort of information is out there and what sorts of things you'll be able to find within the topic that you're looking at. And so if anyone has any questions for the week, if you have any questions about PsycInfo, how to use it, or even what it is, I think probably everybody has used it by now, but maybe not. I mean, maybe not. Just email me, or let me know in some way, or talk to your classmates, and we'll get this together. Let me know if you have any questions, and if, as always, you can, I have office hours. If you want to come and meet me, just email and we can set up a time. Or for those of you who are on other islands, if you want to set up a video chat or something like that, we can do that as well. Email is always good, and I will see you guys online. So great job. I'll talk to you soon.